Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Cindy Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And it's time for the
It's
exciting
time.
conclusion of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Did you like that we did it in unison that time? Are we getting better at this?
For me, it was, I said it first and you guys said it immediately
To me,
after.
it was perfectly in unison. So.
I really hope that it comes out the way that you heard it, because
If not,
that would
I
just
can
be so
edit
beautiful.
it too.
Yeah. And then we'll just,
Amazing.
the video will be
At
a
the
little
same time.
jumpy, but we'll just, you know, you'll just have to trust
Oh
that,
God, be careful that
in
doesn't
our
knock all
hearts.
the. But it is the end, the final countdown, unless you count the show, and we don't. So too bad. This is it. This is all you're getting in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise here.
Spooky
Until
Tuesday.
next year.
Until next summer, maybe. Yeah.
Until next summer, when the
New one
actual
comes out.
third movie comes out. But we are finishing it up with a movie that went straight to DVD or VHS. When was the DVD created? Does anyone know?
This was definitely DVD in 2006.
Yeah, we're
The DVDs
for
were
sure
in Y2K
DVD territory.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I don't want to knock on the VHS. It reigned supreme for
DVD.
so long.
Creation.
But anyway, this movie is rated R. It was released in 2006, and oh boy, can you tell? We are doing I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. And I'm going to jump right into the IMDb logline because we have so much to say, or nothing at all. The logline is who's to say? Only time will tell. This is the logline. A group of teenagers in Colorado find themselves being stalked and killed one by a mysterious figure with a hook, exactly 1 year after they covered up a friend's accidental death. Have you ever found yourself being killed?
Have you ever found yourself being not only stalked, but also killed one by one?
One by one.
That's hilarious phrasing. That is really indicative of the film that we were about to discuss, I feel.
Well, I'll just say first off the bat, much better than I was expecting.
I would also say yes. And I think that this is in true form for all of my reactions to every film I have seen this entire fucking summer. Not just, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Okay. When I go in with no expectations, with my expectations 6 feet under the ground, I have a wonderful time every time because I had a great time. And this is a terrible movie, but I was expecting it to like not even be fun. I was expecting like shit, like the word, like stupid, boring, nothing, blah, 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 blah. And yes, it was that, but it was somehow better than what I was expecting. How wonderful.
Well,
To be pleasantly surprised.
You know, the thing with this movie is that they wanted to make a third movie in a trilogy, but nobody involved in the franchise wanted to do that. And so they got stuck with a third I Know What You Did Last Summer movie that by necessity could have nothing to do with any of the other movies unless they recast literally every role. So they were in kind of a pickle, you know what I mean? But I think they got really creative with it. I seriously think it's a very interesting way to participate in a franchise that nobody will give you the resources to actually make a movie that's part of the franchise. But it is very clearly like a straight to video movie.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it did have, its thing to say, but it really like kind of solidifies, I think, the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise as a franchise, because it is inevitable in every single franchise that we've ever covered on this pod and ones that we never have. Leprechaun, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. They all have to jump the fucking shark and do something fucking wackadoo crazy shit And here we are. We found it. We're there. They did it. And this is now legit. This is now a legitimate franchise. A
My thing is-
legitimate horror franchise.
Why is it based in Colorado?
To be as different and far away as possible while also sparking your could there be some connection to the original? And how could there be some connection to the original if so?
Here's my
Also
thing.
probably cheap place to film. Maybe they got like tax credits or whatever. Maybe Colorado was like, come film here, and they were like, I guess we're going to Colorado.
I don't know, like if your bad guy's a fisherman, it just seems like
A silly place to do it.
or like do it in Seattle where they fish. Like do it in like a charming coastal town. And you're like, like it could become like a sea legend, you know?
I think it's part of the charm.
I agree because the thing that I loved about the beginning, even though I also thought it was stupid at the same time, they did the thing I like. They did the thing I like. It's all about urban legends.
Yeah,
And like this,
it harkens back to the
Yeah.
beach storytelling of the original movie.
and now their story, J. Love Hughes' story is Julie James. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to say J. Love Hugh. Julie James's story is now a certified, bona fide urban legend itself. And that is cool. That's interesting. But I like that it was in fictitious town Broken Ridge, Colorado, because there is a real place called Breckenridge, Colorado. And Adam's like, oh, Breckenridge, blah, 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 blah. And then I didn't understand how that word was spelled. And
Mhm.
so, like, how the real one was spelled. And I was like, oh, it's one of those weird things where it's spelled Broken Ridge, but you say Breckenridge because it's whatever. And then I was watching the
Because
movie
of
and I was
England
like,
or whatever.
they're mispronounced. Yeah, exactly. Like St. John. Like St. John. That's St. John. It's St. John. What the? Okay, whatever you say, that's fun. But like, I thought it was that, and then I was like, oh, these actors fucked it up. They're literally saying Broken Ridge the whole movie, and I thought it was this whole spoof that they fucked it up a little oopsie. No, fake town.
No.
They got me. I thought I really was onto something there though.
I think it is a very interesting setting. They said, what if our urban legend is from a little fishing town where not much happens other than the summer festival? And we are in the summer of what it appears to be a skiing town. So
Mhm.
the off season where there's nothing going on.
Nothing.
And so it's empty and they're like, it's so boring. I'm like, well, you guys do have carnivals. So think about that because not everybody has carnival, but
Gotta have carnival.
you
That's so
gotta have
important.
carnival. But
I'm
yeah,
so
I
excited
mean,
because the Alabama State Fair is going to be here in a month and
Oh,
it's in giant letters on my calendar. I'm ready.
I love a state fair. Love a state fair.
Love a fair.
when
But
does the
yeah, I
OC
mean-
fair end?
The
Oh,
LA
it
fair is
ended!
usually
We missed
the
the
LA
OC
fair might
fair.
have moved this year too. The LA fair might have been it was in May this year. It used to be in September.
Devastating. Well,
Well,
don't worry, friends.
catch
The
you next year.
NorCal Renaissance Fair is happening in September through October. So if you want to join me, I've been thinking about it. Anyway, that's my county fair is the Ren Fair.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean the beginning was a fun little surprise, I have to say. I wasn't expecting that necessarily. And they really just pull the wool over your eyes the whole movie because, you see this whole friend group, you're thinking, this is a legitimate friend group, blah, blah, blah. I was thinking, oh, were those other people not in it? Were they just like doing this to scare those 5 friends, by the way, that they were on the not merry-go-round carousel
Well, 3
with?
of the one on the carousel were in on it, and then 3 weren't.
Okay. Yeah.
So I
Sorry,
think
wrong
it was
amount of
like
numbers.
a prank on those friends, but also the town at large. They were just trying to make something interesting happen, I think, honestly.
Hopefully they've been spreading the lore about that fisherman all over town, because if they just brought it up for the first time then to only those 3 people, and
Nobody's
then
going to be invested.
no one's gonna know what.
Well, also,
Spoilers
nobody-
on the loose, they're gonna be invested.
But also nobody was that
Fair.
invested because the background actors were just like a lot of them continued doing their own, like, we're at the fair thing, and like did not react.
Well, they couldn't. They
Crazy
didn't
shit
see
happens
the
at the fair all the
incident.
time.
They didn't see the incident happen. I don't think. I was thinking about that too. I was like, okay, so none of these bitches give a shit. And I was like, I hope that they're all right. Like this guy obviously, this fisherman obviously is going after these friends because these lovely other people are just playing the game with the ping pong ball and the fish bowl, getting their goldfish, getting the monkey, the squirt gun game where you blow up the balloon. They're just continuing their life. Good for them. But like, Ben Willis has always had a goal in mind and a
He's
target,
focused. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a reason for his slayings.
And he, as a legend now, goes after teenagers with dirty little secrets. Dirty little secrets. He really loved saying that.
I'll
And I
keep
loved him
you
saying
my
it.
dirty little secret.
You
Dirty
look like you
little
could be singing that
secret.
song right now. That's very on brand for your cosplay
Thank
right
you
now.
so much. Thank you for saying that. Wait, can we time out really quickly? I got to plug my computer back in and I want to be able to cut this part out so you don't like see my butt.
Show us your butt. It's not on camera.
Monica, show hole.
Put it higher. Really arch that back. Ooh! Oh, she's
That was
got
my
shorts
shorts. That was
on.
my shorts.
Wow. Deceptive.
Tease.
They're a weird color, though.
Tease!
You'll have to be here in person for that. Okay, sorry. Continue.
I'm keeping this in now because you're being a
No,
fucking
I don't want to show my little shorts on the pod.
I will say, okay, the urban legend part of the beginning I did really like, and I did really feel like it was a great callback to the first I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. But also, opening with a fair, I think, is just like a very fun, like, horror trope, maybe a little bit. I don't know if it's like full trope worthy, but like, it made me think of Cursed, especially with the genre diversion we had later in this movie. And it made me think of Final Destination 3.
Thank you. Yes. Also, the fact that
with
the production company
the whole time.
Well, that and the production company at the beginning is like Destination Films, and so I was like getting that from the beginning.
The
And
intro
also,
and like the font that they use in like the titles was really giving me Final Destination vibes for some reason.
Final Destination 3 come out?
2003.
Okay, so that was first. Yeah, they had such a cunty font for the opening, and then all of the like July 1st, July 2nd, July 3rd was fucking Times New Roman. Pissed me off. I was like, come on. Because this movie, you can say what you want about it, but you can't say it isn't stylized, that they didn't have a vision for the look and the feel. Like, I read some article, I think it was Bloody Disgusting. They were like, there's film grain so strong that it feels like you can reach out and grab it. It does feel like that. It does feel like that. And it's giving like Twilight realness with the like low saturation. It's not quite blue, but also isn't The Ring also super low saturation or something? I think that one had like a very like gray color
Ring,
palette
I feel like
to
we
it.
did make jokes about it being directed by Catherine Hardwicke.
We did, yeah. So it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's all Catherine's vision.
Gore Verbinski.
And also, I don't think that they do this in Final Destination 3, but the big thing they did to like be scary was have the cinematography be like cha-cha-cha, like it's being karate chopped or something. I don't know. It's like slashed up. It's like the angles go all over the place. Yeah, it's like it's being slashed with the hook. Which wow.
Whoa. Okay, choices.
Cinematography like I had never seen before, except it reminded me of all those things I just said. So I guess
it's probably a metaphor.
It really is.
It's just a metaphor.
But I actually I did like the way that it looked. I was like, okay, girl, go off.
Okay, have a perspective, have a point of view.
Wonderful. I accept. It's interesting to look at the very least.
It was interesting to me the way that they brought the fisherman into the story, though, because Sydney's right. I mean, like, it's very random to be in Colorado and to have fisherman lore, but I think once something transcends to the level of urban legend, it can kind of travel in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But then bringing it in as an urban legend opened the door in a lot of ways to be like, okay, is one of their friends is someone being the fisherman to punish them because they discovered the secret, or did Ben Willis hear that they were doing fake murder in his name and he got mad and he came and hunted them down, or like what is going on, what's the deal?
Yeah,
And
Ben
I
Willis
think
wants all the credit.
he's like, these bitches are doing murders in my name, they're gonna regret that.
I gotta step
Defamation.
up.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I guess it didn't bother me that much that the urban legend had traveled. Obviously, there could be like a lake and they fish in the lake or something, but I don't think they'd wear that.
They threw the hook in the lake in the beginning after the bonfire.
I just feel like if it was like a urban legend, because a lot of the times like urban legends will like transform a little bit, know what I mean, from like into the different environments. So like the fisherman would be a skier who, you know, like know what I mean? Like it would like
or a yeti.
Right? Like it would be the same.
And it's an ice hook.
Right? An ice pick. Like, know what I mean? Like it would have evolved with the surroundings, you know?
I see what you mean. I feel like they wouldn't have been able to like tie it back to the franchise in a substantive enough way if they did that, but I agree that is how it works, because it's always like,
right? Like, so they could have picked like a different coastal town. Okay, maybe instead of, where were they? The Carolinas?
Broken Ridge,
in the
Colorado.
original one. No,
in the original one.
Sorry.
Like, so maybe like they are in Massachusetts now, like, and it's a new group of, you know, kids, and they all went to maybe the same college that Julie James went to, and they're like, oh yeah, like this happened to the girl at school, like that went to school here a couple years ago. It was like, know what I mean? Like,
maybe they were making it so far removed so they could be like, see, it's so far removed from the original story, and that's why it's so much less good than those. And so
they bring it back
physical distance.
But they bring it back to like the first movie with like with articles and stuff like that, and they're like, yeah, and this blah blah blah, and it's like, okay.
That's why I think the distance is so interesting. The fisherman is like, I think it makes sense for him to stay a fisherman because that's like his iconic look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like he has his garb, his costume, and that's and the hook. That's like his main characteristic. You know what I mean? It's not like his daughter was murdered and so he haunts the people driving recklessly, and like it's already divorced enough from the original by just being generic fisherman who haunts teenagers with dirty little secrets. Like that's the distance that they brought to it, but it needs to stay specific enough that they can go, oh wait, this was a real thing, and connect it to that, while also not having any connection for them to have like considered it was a real thing in the first place, beyond Roger being like, this is the real hook, I found it on eBay,
it got sent from the Bahamas. That part.
only $39. That's a fucking bargain, girl,
for a murder weapon. Wow.
I know. I was like, the true crime community of 2024 is paying way more for that kind of memorabilia today, I am sure.
Ooh, dark. Yeah, I feel you, Sydney, on all you're saying, but like I think that because it's such an iconic like look of him, like that's his look, his hat, the slicker, it covers his face, it goes up over his mouth, the like collar goes over his mouth, the hook, all of that. You can't really get rid of that in this franchise. And so yeah, it's a random place for it to be. But I have to say that I really enjoyed the setting of this movie because I think like a deserted ski town is so terrifying. And if I can be so bold, I feel like the people who made Frozen watched this movie and they're like, they had something there. The ski lift is very scary when there's no one else around, but they did not really like make that, like they didn't do enough with it. So let me do it, girl, and make a
Let
fucking
me add
bangarang.
some snow and some wolves and some skin freezing to the pole.
Uh-huh. Some nasty shit. So this is definitely, I think this movie inspired many other films as well, but we're not there yet. It's very iconic in that way. But okay, really quickly, let's talk about PJ for a second because we're not, well, let's talk about our characters in general. Um, I want to say for one thing, this is a cast of people that no one knew about, but I will say that most of them, or at least the big three, are doing work still and they're working very regularly and I'm happy for them. And that's great. But
One of them I know was in Pretty Little Liars, and then
Yes.
she
yeah,
was in
Tori
Chicago Med.
DeVito.
Yeah.
That's what I
She
thought
was
was so interesting because when we were talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer, especially in light of the 2005 version of the book, the re-release,
Oh
we
yeah.
touched a little on about how like adding in the technology and the text messages and stuff like that gives it a very Pretty Little Liars vibe. And to have Melissa Hastings come in here and be in this movie really added to the Pretty Little Liars
See,
aesthetics of it. Although Pretty Little Liars as a TV show didn't start until 2010.
went right over my head because I still haven't seen Pretty Little Liars, but I will say that Tori DeVito has me in a chokehold, and I'm in love with her.
Which you're very lucky that the movie turned out this way because IMDb trivia, and again, very small movie, so who the fuck knows? But IMDb trivia said there were two other actresses who were originally cast in
Yeah.
that role who had to drop out before they pulled her in.
Well,
So
this whole
it almost could have
movie-
been different people.
The whole movie was a fucking shit show too, because 2 weeks before they were supposed to start filming, no one knows why, it seems, fired the old director and hired Sylvan White. And so he had to like
Who
do
has directed
all of the
Slender Man.
Yeah, he did Slender Man. And
Wow,
Stomp the
okay.
Yard.
Okay,
Yeah.
filmography. Damn.
Uh-huh. He did this movie and then Stomp the Yard the next year. Okay.
Wow.
Big. Huge. 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 Also, I've always wanted to see the Slender Man movie. So maybe tonight. Anyway,
Maybe tonight's
if it's
the
got
night.
the karate chop cinematography, I'm in.
I will
Well,
say
does it have
though,
the same cinematographer?
that's
Stomp the
true.
Yard is an incredible film. So
I've heard wonderful things. It's in the zeitgeist, so I know that it did a lot of shit with it. But he had to cast the movie, prep the locations, and devise the shooting schedule in 2 weeks. So if anything doesn't make sense, it's not his fault. Get out of
there's
jail free
actually,
card.
if you ask me, there's only one thing in this movie that doesn't make sense. And I only just realized it now. And that's that the whole setup for this movie, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this episode, but I'll summarize for you real quick. The opening accident is that they're doing this fake fisherman murder prank based on the legend. And he's chasing PJ. PJ's on the roof with his skateboard. Oh my God, PJ's skating off the ledge. It's so scary. But PJ's in on the prank, except somebody moved the mattresses where he was supposed to land. And so instead he gets impaled on a pole. Crazy impaled.
Impaled on the exhaust pipe or like the steam pipe of a tractor.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's what that is. Someone moved the crash pads so they could park their tractor there. And so he is impaled on like, you know, the little like smokestack thing with the little top and it goes and then steam comes out. That
he
is
basically
like
got
what?
impaled on a blunt object.
Yeah, on a blunt object.
Well, what I was gonna say is that we never found out who moved the mattresses or why, but it seems like some farmer just wanted to park their tractor and said, "What are these mattresses doing here?"
Shit? Yeah, it's the county fair. He brought his tractor to show it off.
That's so fair.
Sure.
I would love to see a tractor at the fair.
That solves that mystery.
There we go. Debunked. Nothing's wrong with this movie. Sylvan Slay. But okay, one of the things that is a little crazy to me, I think that Brooke Nevin, who plays Amber, is super hot. But every bitch in the world of this world in Broken Ridge is obsessed with her. And I think it's like, imagine the power that she wields.
Oh my God,
and she's too
everybody's
busy.
in love with me.
She's too
Not
busy
Colby.
snapping her little
Right?
pictures and being like the 2005 equivalent of a hipster. Like we're just barely getting there. She's definitely
She's
not a
got
hipster,
red Jeep.
but
She
she's
takes
as
pictures.
close.
She rides bikes. I did text Monica
She's a
earlier,
mountain
and I was
biker.
like, Amber is so Adam coded, actually.
Yes.
Yes, it really is. It's kind of crazy. Adam
He's
goes
that
on bike
bitch.
rides
He
to
loves
take pictures.
photography. He
Yeah.
cycles.
Everyone's in love with him.
Everybody wants him.
He's got beautiful, long, flowing blonde hair, and he's the queen of this small town. Actually, he did have beautiful, long, flowing hair that was blonder in his small town where he grew up.
In high school.
And he almost won prom king, but he didn't because his girlfriend broke
he
up with
was
him
sad
like 2
'cause-
weeks before prom.
That's also very relevant for this movie, kind
This
of.
is Adam's life, except he
Yeah, this
was
is Adam's
never.
exact
scared?
life
Was he
story.
scared?
He only watched part of it, and he's like, "I gotta go. I gotta work.
I can't do this anymore.
Sure.
But she does have everyone in a chokehold, and I just, okay, get this out of the way early. It will come up throughout the film. Y2K is in right now. Everybody, Gen Z, me even. I wore something low waisted, and then I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. It's got us in a chokehold. It's back. It's vintage now. Kill me. I'm gonna die. It's vintage now, and so Gen Z is like, oh, it's so fun and quirky to bring it back. They've brought back some wonderful aspects of it. This is the real and the true. What we're seeing in this film, this is the real and the true Y2K.
2K.
And this is the heinous shit that I'm talking about. The fucking capri pants jump scare, gaucho pants jump scare. It's just like,
Okay,
so
I
much
was talking today
ankle.
about how I was gonna buy some capris because I miss them.
They're coming
You'd
back
be
now
hip.
too, but
You'd be
they're
hip.
later in the trend cycle, I feel. But I've seen them. They're
I
coming.
love
and I'm
capri
scared.
pants.
The gaucho pants silhouette is back. It's just a jean now, which
Yeah.
she wears something like that in this movie. And there was at least 1 or 2 points where I was like, a hot bitch would wear that outfit today, exactly that outfit. So
100%.
Also, I got really triggered by Lance and his giant leather like wristica that he was like wearing. That was so triggering to me and the boys that I was into in 2006.
I have to say that Lance is like riding that line where I'm like, oh no, I would have been like goo goo gaga over him. But then also I'm disgusted at the very same time. His like fucking like Ed Hardy chic shirts or whatever, I'm gonna die. And the hairstyle that like there's got to be like so much product in that and it still looks terrible. But the thing is, I love him. Ben Easter, great job in this film. He looks like sexier version of Nick Kroll, and that ruined it for me. Just look at him a little bit longer and think about Nick Kroll many years ago. There's something there with the eyes I thought it, and I couldn't unsee it for the rest of the movie. And I was like, well, I ruined that for myself. No shade to Nick Kroll. Love Nick Kroll. Just not necessarily got a big crush on Nick Kroll. If I could be so honest with you. I'm sorry, this is what I've seen with my eyes. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. And I'm happy for you. And I want you to have a nice time.
I looked up his IMDb so that I could scroll through some pictures of him. And I just want to say it seems that he appeared to be in a lovely Christmas movie called Up on the Rooftop, where there's a little dog in a Santa hat. So
I love that.
There's some like really fun things that these cast members have done later on. Specifically though, Brooke Nevin and Tori DeVito, so Amber and Zoe, they were both on Chicago Fire. Maybe not the same time, but they both did that show. And I was like, sweet, cute, little reunion.
Ben Easter was in the Mary Kate and Ashley show So Little Time.
Yes, that's where I know him from.
Wait. Is he the one? I spent a lot of time looking at their IMDb. So if I got this wrong, I'm sorry. Was he the one who was in Z3? Xenon, the sequel, I don't know, the Xenon third movie. He was in the third Xenon movie.
He's also in Holiday in the Sun. Oh my god.
Yes.
The real Olsen twins discography. Discography, not the right word, but wow.
This guy's my favorite.
Oh my
Of all the
god.
cast
A body
members.
of work. Oh my god. Lennon Kincaid in So Little Time.
Colby
They said
was
we
in an
loved
episode
him
of
as
Criminal
Jordan
Minds.
and Wow.
They really did, like, all these actors did, like, the fucking, like, one-off
rounds.
circuit. Yeah, the rounds, which is, like, great work. That's like, amazing. Those roles are so fun, especially in Criminal Minds and stuff like that. But then a lot of them got, like, recurring roles, too. So I was like, hell yeah. They were in this, like, certified stinker, and then they continued on.
They said it went straight to DVD. Nobody has seen it. I'm fine.
It's something for the
Wow.
resume, and they continued on, and they're doing great, and I'm happy for them.
I love a working actor.
I love a working actor. Here's the thing. The beginning of this movie was so, like, a fun change for sure, but then, like,
Mm-hmm.
subsequently it does like copy the first movie almost exactly a lot of the time. Like, some of the same scenes happen.
Well, and also some
literally.
of the dynamic too. Like you have Amber and Colby, and like he's going off to college and she'll be able to meet him at some point. And you have that with like Julie and Ray, where Ray is going to like New York and she'll like come up there eventually, but it's just with Los Angeles this time.
Well, they really felt like, I mean, and that's still California. Like, Ray went to California, so that's like the same thing. And then Amber and Colby, I feel like they're more Barry and what's Sarah Michelle Gellar's character's
Helen.
name? Helen. They feel more like Barry and Helen in a lot of ways. They look exactly like them. Interesting. And like Amber does have that like it girl thing going for her, where all these people were fawning over her, and Helen was the beauty
Mhm.
queen. It's not the exact same thing, but
Yeah, because
that
they
was
give Zoe
super
the
similar.
I'm gonna be a star trajectory.
Yeah.
That's the best part of this entire movie. I have so much to
The
say.
musical break, which was such a thing
Let's get pog
for
punked
like
for a
that
second.
kind of like movie. It's like you had to have a musical intermission a little bit.
Okay, it makes it so much better. That redeemed the second half of the movie for me. I was like, wait, Zoe is really talented.
Wait,
And
she's
Wait,
really
actually?
good.
she's really, here's the thing. Okay, this is fucked up to say. They've all experienced trauma. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, they're experiencing trauma in more authentic ways. I would say they're all upset and they got depressed and whatever. Everyone seems pretty much fine except for Roger. In this movie, like, they're not doing
Roger
great.
is the one who like scared him off the roof. So like
So he probably, and they blamed him a little
And
bit
they're like,
then, but
did you set up the mattresses? It was your job to set up the mattresses,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
but it wasn't. It was PJ's job to set up the
Mhm.
mattresses. So
And
it's just,
again, like Roger argues, somebody moved them. So even if they were set up properly and in place in the beginning
he
of the
can't
prank,
be
someone
in
could have
two
moved them
places at once.
2 minutes before. Yeah, unless they had someone
Yeah.
there supervising the mattresses. What are you gonna do?
Which could have been a good idea, but
Could have been
then
a
would
good
have
idea.
been suspicious.
somebody could have
but,
been like hiding there,
yeah, like the
Oh,
rest
excuse
of
me, you can't actually park your tractor here. We're doing prank.
We're busy. Chelsea would have preserved everything for the prank.
Oh yeah, this is also
I never would have let this happen.
I don't know, Chelsea. This is a cautionary tale. This is what could happen if you keep up with your prank shit. Okay, someone could die, and I need you to be careful.
Not
okay,
me. I'm never
Use
gonna be
caution.
the one skateboarding off the roof.
This is
to
what
be
they
clear.
thought too. Okay, well, that's obviously you're not
Fair.
gonna be skateboarding off a roof.
What do you mean? Obviously,
I don't know. You're not giving skater girl vibes yet, but it's early in your butch journey. Okay,
thank
so
you.
who knows how far it could go?
How dare you?
I thought I was gonna be a skater girl, but then my
thought that
my
too.
fucking fiance, I got our first like date. That was actually a date. He was teaching me how to skateboard. That was the whole thing. And then he's never finished teaching me because that's how he keeps
Wow.
me in the relationship.
Oh,
That's
yes.
literally
That's
what
how
he
he's
said.
got you on.
That's how
the
we got. That's the
hook.
reason I'm still there. I'm waiting. I got the skateboard in. Oh, nice play on words. I have the skateboard in
you.
the garage. But anyway,
As somebody
okay.
who's dated so many skaters, all the way from just amateurs to professionals, I love a skater.
I
I
really wanted my middle school crush to
it's so
teach me,
hot.
but he did not like me back. So
I
Why
cannot
do you
be
think
on
I
a
had such a
board.
big crush on Spencer?
It's dangerous. I
It's
like watching
dangerous.
people on the board.
It's dangerous.
No, I'm getting a little bit of a center of balance, so maybe I'll have a mid-30s
Whoa.
skater girl
Renaissance.
thing, and then I'll break my leg and never walk
Be
again.
over it.
So maybe not.
Just don't skate off any roofs, okay?
Yeah, no, that was a sick move though, and the CGI or whatever they did where he flew through the air was fucking hilarious. It was so funny, and then he was impaled. But all of this to say, some of them come out okay. You know, Colby's obviously not doing great. Something happened. His job didn't work for the summer. We find that out. I have to say, whatever Zoe is going through, she's channeled it to become 99% hotter than she was before. And she was
Yeah, she
so
got
hot
punk
before.
now.
She got punk. She's got way cooler
She got
style.
a tattoo.
She got red streaks. She got a cunty lob. She's got her sexy tattoo. Oh my God. And she's got the voice of like a fucking punk ass angel. So it worked out okay for Zoe, except for then it didn't. But at the beginning of the film, I was like, yeah, girl.
I think we just honestly did not see very much of their interior lives to know that
Yeah.
they were doing okay. Like they seemed like they were all struggling a little bit. They'd all lost touch with each other. Like Colby and
Yeah.
Amber were technically dating still at the beginning of the movie, but it was very clear obviously that they were not really communicating with each other even a little bit at all.
Can you believe
They just hadn't broken up, you know?
Right.
Imagine going to a party in your hometown and your long distance boyfriend is there. You find out by walking up to him and he says, "Oh, hey, Abbers, friend zoned you, friend zoned you, friend zoned you right there. Hey, Abbers, I'd kill him." Oh my God. I was like, right then it's over. That's not good.
We're never coming back from this.
Well,
We're never coming back from Abbers. I mean, maybe
as
that's a
soon
cute
as he
nickname,
was
but the
like-
delivery.
When he was like, "Don't you want to like you don't want to be tied down for your freshman year?" I was like, "Oh, he's been cheating on her this whole time."
Oh, of course he has.
Yeah.
He has.
Yeah.
She thinks that they are
I've heard
still
that line
dating because
before.
they never broke up, and because she's going to California next year. He has no illusions about this. He thinks he knows he didn't break up with her, but he's like, "That's not my girlfriend," or we would have talked on the phone at some point.
Right.
Yeah, it was reminding me of Bring It On a little bit.
Okay,
Little bit of
Aaron.
Bring It On vibes. But yeah, Colby's such a fucking douche canoe. He's so Barry. He was too Barry. He was too Barry.
But the thing is, unlike all of the original 4 teams, and I know what you did last summer, they had that age gap, which really like set them apart, which adds to the like nuance of like, oh, he's away at college, he's busy, blah blah. Like it is very Bring It On in that sense of like, not that
They have
there
that
are
in
power dynamics, but there's this necessary distance where it's like she couldn't even go if she wanted to. She's still in high school.
Yeah.
that
like she's stuck here.
I thought that's the same thing for I Know You Did last summer.
No,
Barry's supposed to be at college. Oh, at least in the book. Maybe I'm getting it confused with the book, but Barry's a year older. And
Isn't
in
Ray a year older too?
Ray's a year older too. It's the same age dynamic. And Barry's a year older in the book. He just like didn't go to whatever school he was gonna go to, and he went to the
like a local
university
one
in town. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing with Ray in the movie is that he was supposed to go to New York and like be artsy, and he didn't. He stayed home and was working on a fishing boat.
Yeah. Same
Yeah,
with
and
Barry. He like didn't like
He just stayed
he
home.
got
He was
hurt
chilling
or something, and so he like lost his scholarship, so he couldn't play football. Or
Yeah. So he was in college, and then Ray did go to California for a while, and then he
New
came
York.
back, but didn't. No, I think in the book it's California. I
in
don't
the
know.
movie.
Yeah,
it's
in
New
the
York.
movie, it's New York.
Oh, okay. And yeah, and then he comes back and doesn't tell anyone and is just working in the whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think that none of them are doing great, but they're all just kind of like trudging along. It's the difference is that
The
like
main reason I brought that up was just to make the joke that Zoe channeled it to be hotter.
yeah,
but I'm
but
sure
I
they
mean,
all
I
are
think, like-
authentically going through something.
well, the psychological stakes are also different between like we full blown murdered somebody and
Yeah,
covered it up
totally.
versus like there was a tragic accident that was sort of beyond our control, and the only thing that we did was like not come forward about the circumstances of it.
Yeah. No, totally. I will say the stuff with Roger was like really heavy-handed. I don't know if they handled it great, but it was 2005, so no surprise there.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I have to say that whatever was happening in the scene when they first go to find him and he's on that big tractor thing with the mask and all of that shit, just the way that whole thing was shot was so funny. I was like,
I loved
what
it.
is it was amazing. It was so,
And it had like this
so
big
bizarre.
metal, like it looked like a big hook almost on it. It wasn't a hook because it didn't have like a pointy end. It was just like the structure or whatever. But
Yeah.
the way that he was like zooming towards them with his big ominous metal hook and his mask, like I loved it. I loved it.
It was great. And I just like we talked about it a little bit already, but the fact that it's that whole scare scene with Amber where she like hears the sound and she comes downstairs and then an alarm goes off at 11:21 on her radio. What the I don't know. They just wanted to play a rock and roll song, I think. Like I don't
This is a rock
like
and roll movie, baby.
it is. I mean, if I yeah, it is. And they're like, it's time. We haven't had some in a while, so let me throw that in there.
Everybody needs some.
Didn't make a single lick of sense. No one, not at all, not at all. But the fact that then she goes and gets her flip phone. Oh, I wish I had my flip phone on me right now.
God, the flip phones were so good.
I just that was so funny. That's just so
Underutilized,
funny.
honestly, though.
So funny that it's like, I know what you did last summer. Next text. I know what you did last summer. Next text. I know what you did.
So clearly that like they came up with one graphic and they were just like the text was
Flashing it.
superimposed over it. They didn't like incorporate it into the graphic. It was that part was very low budge.
It was so low budge, but I just thought it was so funny. And I loved the fake out that they did just before when she had like the letter in the similar handwriting as the previous movies on the side of her bed.
And then
she
it's like
opens
the
it
little
up,
smiley from mom and dad.
and they're like, here's $100. Also,
No
I really
Heidi's
liked
girl.
her little froggy that she was
Yeah.
pouting with. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like
I thought that was a good teenage bedroom.
Bella vibes. I think it might have been the lighting and the color, the like lack of color, but I was just like expecting Ben Willis to be watching her through the window or something like that, a la Edward Cullen. I don't know. The vibes were so strong.
Sure.
And maybe it's because she's like not like other girls, you know. She's different. She's so artistic, blah blah blah. Maybe that vibe is what I was getting. And her little camis too. But the Twilight was singing to me. But I do feel upset about Roger's death because it was just that whole
It is
edgy
some whack ass
montage.
vibes to be killing yourself and to have someone say, actually, how dare you? I'm killing you. You don't kill yourself. I'm killing you. And I'm psychologically torturing you a little bit first. And I had a whole plan. And how dare you try to preempt my plan? Because actually, I'm doing a thing over here.
I'm checking something really quickly.
Okay.
But that scene was like that scene with him struggling with and drinking and all and horrible. Could have been pulled directly from the How You Remind Me music video from Nickelback.
Whoa.
It's literally like I'm watching the video right now. It's like tonally, visually, the color, the saturation. It is very similar. And
I don't know that there are any similarities with this music video, but you bringing up that music video reminds me of the Hoobastank The Reason video.
reason for me.
Those should have been on the soundtrack of this movie. When did those songs come
That's
out?
way too high budge for this, babe. Come on.
Right.
I'm literally putting the How You Remind Me music video into the references literally right now, so I do not forget
Put the reason
later.
also.
Okay, I will.
While you're in there.
The Reason. I love that song.
That one has a car accident. Somebody gets hit by a car walking the street. And then I think
Oh,
at the end,
no.
somehow time wibbly wobbly, it doesn't happen, but I'll have to rewatch it later.
Oh my god. That's terrible. I'm sorry about
Well,
that.
they get saved in the end.
They get saved? Oh, okay. Good. Well, great.
Right?
Then great. I don't know. Do you think I have that music video memorized? Thank
Played
you.
on the end a lot.
I wanna just stop doing the podcast so I can watch the how you reminded me Nickelback music video.
Let's take a
I love this
45-minute
song.
intermission and be right back.
I really wish that they had used the saw though. I know he's got to use the
Yeah.
hook, but what if the saw had done something? That was exciting. I
Yeah,
thought
like
that
what
Ben
if he
Lewis was
used
gonna.
what if he held the saw with his hook and then did it?
I thought maybe he was gonna trip or something, trying to get
Yeah.
away from Hookman and saw himself.
Mhm.
And then I also thought that Hookman was gonna grab the saw after slicing his throat with the hook and like cut off his head or something.
Well, I
But-
do wonder about the fisherman's limitations given what we find out later in the movie, but he does grab that big kitchen knife at one point. So, you know, he is
Yeah.
able to some degree utilize the tools around him.
Yeah, he's able to like squish people onto things as well. That's all I'll say.
Mhm. Hey, and that was such a demonstration of strength.
I know. Can't wait to get there. But oh man, this movie, this movie. I love that Lance. Okay, sorry. This is from earlier. I'm sorry. I love how much of a simp Lance is. And it's so
Oh,
embarrassing.
from the jump.
Imagine you see the girl that you like, you see her between two silos, and you're like, it'd be cool if I run up to her before she's even there and I have a drink for her. And I'm like, hey, what? Hi. Not like, in the least
Hi, I
chill
love
way
you.
ever. Like
Mhm.
that was so
They
fucking
said,
lame.
what if Max from I Know What You Did Last Summer got the girl, actually?
Yeah. I love too that they're like the reveal later on in the movie where he's like, I know what you did last summer. And he says it. And then he's like, yeah. And she's like, what? And he's like, PJ told me. It's my fucking cousin. Of course he told me. It's like so like it's such a like pull the rug out from under you moment. It's so funny.
Well, because
They
they're really
have their
setting him
jokes.
up to be framed as the villain for a minute there. They're giving you a lot of good suspects in this movie in many ways.
Yeah, him, the PJ's
The
dad,
sheriff.
the sheriff,
The other cop guy, maybe.
the
The
other cop guy.
pedophile cop.
Yeah.
That cop is so fucking creepy.
The
Oh my
groomer
god.
cop. Yeah, it's
whole
very
town's in love with
Veronica
Amber.
Mars. I mean, yeah, but it's very Veronica Mars where Schmidt from New Girl was playing like a new young rookie cop and they had their romance. Like back in the 2000s, you could date adults if you were a teenage girl, no problem.
Mhm.
So
You could.
that's also very
so
Pretty
easy.
Little Liars.
Oh yeah. I forgot
I'm
about
sure
that.
somebody in Pretty Little Liars dated a cop. I don't know. I don't remember exactly who.
Garrett was a
but
cop. Don't forget.
Garrett was a cop. That's so true. Did any of them hook up with him?
I don't know.
Maybe Hannah? I don't, probably not, but maybe. That would be my
Also,
guess. But if
speaking
you
of
did.
Pretty Little Liars, have any of you seen Addison Rae's Diet Coke music video?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
That is Jason De Laurentiis. The man in
It's not going to mean anything to her.
I know, but Chelsea, I'm telling you.
Okay, I'll
So-
look it up later. I thought, wasn't her song Diet Pepsi? Wow, you
that's
need
what
to
I meant.
apologize to Pepsi right now.
No, I refuse to acknowledge Pepsi, but I love that song.
He is
I'm
hot.
a Coke girl,
I
but a
don't know who he
Diet
is, but he's
Pepsi
hot.
girl. So, like, I think there's nuance in the Coke Pepsi conversation.
Well, I'm a pepper, so
I'm a Dr. Pepper girly until the day that I die, for
that's
sure.
that's apples to oranges.
I'm just
And
saying.
Dr. Pepper's better. So
I'm a pepper.
I
had
will
a shirt
say,
that said it. I really
I'm
hope I still
a
have that shirt.
doctor, actually. So go
They
listen.
had, like, a
My
whole
soda's got
branding.
degrees.
They had a whole branding campaign that like they sold shirts that says "I'm a pepper" and it was like in the Dr. Pepper font. So that's why I said that. And I had that.
my
shirt,
dad,
in case you want to
my
know.
dad told me that on his birthday when he was younger, his dad gave him a shirt that in the Coca-Cola font said "Enjoy cocaine," and I was like, "When you were 10, he gave it to you when you were 10."
I love that.
I love that for him. That's amazing. Great.
It was the 60s. What are you gonna do?
Oh my god. Okay, where are we? Where are we in this beautiful film? Oh,
Roger,
other
Lance?
cunty moment. Other cunty moment that happens. Loved that Colby's being like, "Fuck you, I'm a lifeguard now. My life's falling apart. I don't care what you have to say." Weirdly sexually charged interaction, I have to say, between Zoe and Colby. Also, just saying. I was like, your faces are too close, get away. But I don't think anything actually happened because I think that
Some
Zoe's
weird
repulsed by
sexual
him.
chemistry right at the very beginning of the movie as well, too. So
Everybody wanted to fuck each other in that friend group.
yeah,
It happens. It happens.
Look at
That's
us.
the way friend groups go
That's
sometimes.
our
know.
friend
Look at
group.
us.
Look at us.
I know. Exactly. Here's the thing. The writing the "I know what you did" in the water as it evaporates.
I love
Slay.
that. I
yes.
love
Yes.
that. And do you know what he does later in the movie? It's dark out. He's alone at the pool. And he goes for a night swim.
Ah,
This is the inspiration for Night Swim.
That's the inspiration
that
for
tracks.
Night Swim.
Also, they caught when did House of Wax come out?
Yeah, with the
2006,
hook on
yeah.
the ankle.
Yeah, okay. This movie inspired so many things. Just saying.
Just
The fact that they put the hook through his probably wasn't
Achilles
actually his
tendon.
Achilles tendon because he could still walk, and I don't think that Colby had surgery in the intervening moments from his incident because you have to have surgery to reattach your ACL. But the fact that the hook went through his little ditty in the
your
back of his
ACL is
heel,
in your knee.
huh?
Your ACL
Oh,
is in your knee.
what's the thing? What's the
Your
tendon at the
Achilles
back of your ankle?
tendon.
Oh, sorry. I always think those are the same thing. Your Achilles tendon, you also
It does
need
have
to
an
have
AC
surgery.
and an L in it, though. So
That's
you're
why I
onto
always thought
something.
they were the same thing. This is why I'm not a physical therapist. This is why I don't do that.
This is why
I
you're not
don't-
studying
This
kinesiology
is
in
a
college.
horror movie podcast, so I just want to let the listeners know where my
I told
expertise
you what my
lies.
expertise is.
Nowhere.
Yeah, and it's not the anatomy of the body.
Anyway, Achilles tendon. So I don't think it necessarily went all the way through there, but that was the inspiration. I was like, ooh, loved that because I hate it so much, and that's my biggest ick is
Yeah.
little snippy dippies like that. So that inspired House of Wax, of course. And then I don't know if this is immediately after, but we're talking about the individual scares that all of our friends here have. Zoe's scare. When did Inception come out? That came from this movie, bitch. The dream within a dream within a dream. Inception was inspired
insane.
by the
Inception
2000
took notes.
Yep. It's pretty insane. It's pretty
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
Inception didn't come out until like 2010, so.
So they watched this and they're like, "Whoa,
They went,
let's
whoa.
wow."
Has
Hey,
anybody
did anybody
ever
see
done
that
that
movie?
before?
What if we take that and we make it bigger? We make it the whole film. Whoa.
I think they do some of that stuff in Nightmare on Elm Street, though, because obviously lots of that movie
Yeah.
is dream stuff.
And also all the slash up stuff too. That
Yeah.
felt probably like Freddy. I forgot his name.
But
for
I
a
liked
second.
the
Jesus.
cinematography in those moments too, though, because it's like a very different style between like her face and she sees PJ's face under the slicker, and then it cuts back to her and it's like grainy and desaturated again. But the couch is all torn up. Like they're having fun. They're having fun on this
They're having
movie.
fun. Adam said when he watched the beginning of this movie, but he didn't watch the whole thing, so his opinion only slightly counts. He was like, "This
Okay.
looks like a student film, like a student thesis film," and I was like, "Okay, well, a really good one that would get an A."
A really good one from a director who would go on to do Stomp the Yard. Okay,
Alright.
He would do something
And
the next
Slenderman
year.
in 2018.
I liked how stylized it was. I was like,
yeah,
why?
I thought it was fun.
It was fun. It was a lot.
It was a
It
lot.
felt like it felt like it was like Ed Hardy bedazzled. You know what I mean? It had like
It was the
fucking-
era.
It was the era. It was like directed by one of those like, oh, what's it called? Fleur-de-lis. You know, isn't that the shape that was super
Oh,
popular at that
yeah.
time? That was like in in that shape. This whole film. I don't know. That doesn't necessarily make sense. The film has studs on it. Think about it like that.
Yeah.
It's like a studded belt. It's like
Yeah.
Zoe's studded belt. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
I was
Do you
talking
feel
about
that
it
energy?
earlier this year. I was like, I really need the seatbelt belt to come back in a stronger capacity.
I gotta
Options
go
are
find
so
mine.
limited.
I was a hoarder as a child, so I still have to have it somewhere. Mine was checkered, in case you want to know.
I love that. I
Um,
love that. But yeah, I mean the Zoe dream scare is fun and does help fill out the movie because like there's Roger's death and then everything else is kind of condensed together, you know.
Yeah.
There's kind of a while without much happening.
Also,
And
Zoe's like dream thing is giving like big drug trip also a little bit.
yeah,
She's a
I
bad
could
girl
see
now.
that.
She clearly isn't participating in Dare anymore.
I also was like, why isn't that the moment where she's like, okay, girl, like, come pack your bag and come over here, come back over here. And it's like, why are you going to sleep if she's going to be over here in 5 minutes? Like, this town can't be that big.
That's giving Scream. Like,
That is giving Scream.
Right.
Fell asleep on the couch.
yeah. I just love the American Idol Ticket to Hollywood aspect of this film.
The talent agents are going to be in our small town. I was like, that's
in
a
Colorado.
setup. It turns out it wasn't a
Agents
setup,
from
but
LA. Agents from LA. Also, it was like a
they
fucking
know that
sick
this
open
is the
mic
pop
night.
punk town. They know they have to come to Broken Ridge, Colorado if they want to discover the
Broken-
next big pop punk act.
Which is
Does
wrong.
Broken
Everybody
Ridge-
knows you have to go to the Midwest, like the real Midwest.
Colorado's right next to Kansas.
Doesn't count. You got to
I
go
have
to
to-
Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, where
Yes,
those
yes.
bitches are mentally depressed
Where there's really nothing going on, okay?
and no
in
beautiful scenery.
Yeah, in Colorado it's still beautiful, and in the winter there's tons of shit to do, okay? So
Yeah, you
come
can
on.
ski there. You can't ski in Ohio. There's just snow.
But I
do
think that it
long
makes a lot of
distance ski.
sense that Broken Ridge, Colorado would be a pop punk haven or a punk haven.
Yeah,
Because
Makes
that
sense.
sounds
Name
punk
for
as
it.
fuck. Come on.
Yeah.
Also, like, I really liked that I'm doing this to hide my Fitbit, but I really liked that Zoe had her little like thing like here. I was like, what is going on with that?
Oh,
She
that
had her
was like
little,
such
She's
a
an
thing.
individual. She's unique.
She's such an individual. I'm putting mine back over my Fitbit. Gotta see how many calories
I don't want to.
burn
I don't
while
want
I'm
to know
yapping.
how many steps you've taken today. Put that away.
I need to know how many calories I burned while I got really fucking jazzed about How You Remind Me by Nickelback.
This is how you
Heart rate
remind
spiked.
me of what
Vigorous
I
zone.
It's not like you
I love
can
that
say
song.
sorry.
Unironically, I love that song.
It's
I love
Sorry.
Nickelback.
fucking bigger.
I've seen it live. It was awesome. Anyway, we'll move on so I don't make myself look lame. I went to the show for free, to be clear. But I had a wonderful time.
She paid $200 for those tickets,
I
and I
paid.
know that.
I got front row seats. No.
She was in the
okay.
pit.
Oh yeah, we're talking about her being like, I can't save my own life. I have to become a star. Fair.
Mhm.
Sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit, and she is willing to die for her craft.
What is
And
life
she
worth
does.
if you are not a star? That's why
Her
we have
performance-
podcasts.
I gotta say that earlier in the yeah, so true. On this our 201st episode.
On this our 201st
covering
episode.
the
First
stupidest
episode.
movie of all time. I have to say earlier on in the movie when Amber first comes in to see Zoe for the first time, and Zoe's like about to sing and then she doesn't. I was so pissed off because I was like, I want to know what she sounds like. And then they're like, don't worry, honey. We'll give you a whole
just wait,
3-minute
girl.
song break and a rehearsal. And it's so good.
I liked their tension in that scene too, and then I liked their like breaking the tension in the car later when it was like those flyers. She's like, you could send me one more flyer, maybe. And it's like those flyers cost money. Those are $1 a flyer. And she's like, well, I owe you $10. Then you more like 20.
Yeah.
And then the pedophile cop comes over.
No, that was the dad cop that time. I think.
Oh, okay.
But whatever. But that scene in particular, not exactly how it plays out, but it's exact parallel of the first film with Helen and Julie James. So that was mostly what I meant when I was like, okay, they're copying a lot of the scenes, and then like the gym scene with Barry feels similar to
the swimming, the
the
night
swimming,
swim.
and even the kitchen scene, like just like the enclosed space thing
Yeah.
running around. feels
I
similar.
think that having so many I'll call them homages to the original is fair and allowed when they're doing something very different with the end of the movie. So I think if the end of the movie was very similar, they would not get as much leeway from me as they do. But because ultimately they were doing a very different kind of movie, I'm willing to say those homages help connect it to the franchise.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not against
Yeah.
that. Again had a wonderful time. I don't think it's great. I just but it was a great time. You know what I
I
mean? So
thought
that
it
will
was
help us.
super interesting what they did. And I don't know when we get to start talking about that. I mean, it's been an hour, so maybe now, but
We can spoil it whenever we want, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's our podcast. We can do whatever
yeah,
we want.
That's true. We could have
we can
spoiled it
spoil
in
it
minute
moment
one, but
one.
I
We
was
do that all
being
the time.
generous. And I was giving you a chance to go on this journey with us in that way. But I think I'm ready to talk about the big twisty because I mean, we're basically there. We're talking about like the kitchen chase and blah blah blah. Like Zoe gets like got and Colby gets got, and
Yeah.
like those are all pretty straightforward,
Look in the
basic.
face. I love Colby's death. I love that it
Mm-hmm.
was like through the glass. That was a bit. I went.
Yeah, and he was like chasing him from one side in the kitchen. Now he's on the other side of the doors. How did he do that?
They kind of did the same thing with both their kills though, because she was like slamming on the door trying to get through to get away from him, and then he was on the other side. Zoe was, I mean, and then the similar thing.
They really
Anyway,
kept cutting to Zoe on the floor with her like leg all twisted, being like,
I
"Isn't
know.
that gory? Isn't that violent? Aren't you
Isn't that
shocked and
isn't that
appalled?"
odd? Aren't you upset? I mean, also when they like zoomed in on Roger's sliced throat too, and they're like,
Right.
and he's still like jiggling a little bit, and I was like, okay, it's rated R. I got it. Jeez, chill out.
Well, and then they kill the sheriff too. So it really gets down to the wire of like, okay, who could it possibly be? Like, who is doing this? Is it really Ben Willis? I kept saying before we recorded this episode, like, oh, I think I know something about this movie. And that's because for some reason I thought that I had seen that Muse Watson was like in the IMDb credits for this movie. So I was like, yeah, he comes back. But I guess I
But
just
it's
saw the
played by a different
fisherman.
guy.
I guess I just saw the fisherman in the poster and I made some assumptions that were not correct.
Sorry. In the poster, the blonde girl that is
Yeah.
in the friend group that is in the beginning of the movie and never in it again and isn't in on the prank, she's on the fucking poster.
Hilarious.
Star
Good for that
LaPointe
girl.
is her name.
Star LaPointe is such a cool name.
Yeah.
But like, good for her. I don't know how she negotiated that in her contract, but poor Colby.
Maybe she was in something at the time. I don't know. I didn't look her up on IMDb, but like, yeah,
Yeah,
Colby did
maybe.
not make the poster. It's kind of like we were talking about last episode with Scary Movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's very interesting to see who made the poster and that and who didn't. No, this girl was in like 5 episodes of she was in nothing after I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
I don't know.
She did
It's
like
just
7
so
episodes
funny.
of TV, 1 short film, 5 seconds of this movie, which is straight to video. And then she moved on to other things in her. Oh, she's a professional model. Maybe they just said she's so beautiful, she must be on poster.
I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, for me watching this movie, my investment level was so low that I wasn't even trying to guess who the killer would be. I was just like, whoa, whoa, that's happening now. Crazy. And so when the reveal was revealed, I laughed out loud hysterically for an entire minute. Like it was just like maniacal laughter. I screamed, "He's a zombie!" And I laughed out loud for a whole minute straight. And I felt great joy. Yes, Chelsea, you have the floor.
It's time for my theory, actually.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I don't
girl.
think he is a zombie. I don't
What
think
do you
that's
think he
zombie
is?
Ben Willis. This is a term
Is it Ben's
that has
son?
His name, Ben's son. Hello. No. This is a term that's come up on this podcast before, I think, or at least I remembered that it was relevant to another movie we did. I looked it up in my notes. I found it in my notes for Magic from Doll Month from season 1. But I found this term recently, and so like I don't really know the historical context of it
MacGuffin.
necessarily. No. No.
I was just talking about a MacGuffin like last night, actually, with Taylor and Alex.
Wow.
Learned that from Emma from Spooky
And I was just like,
Flicks.
we were just talking about this on an episode. We're geniuses.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, not a MacGuffin.
Yeah, I had to like reverse. I had to find the Tumblr post that I found this on, but the term is tulpa. If I'm pronouncing that right, it comes from Tibetan Buddhism, but basically it's the idea where like you have thought so hard about something that it sort of like manifests as a real being. It's not necessarily evil. It's kind of like you had an imaginary friend that you believe in so strongly that they become real to you.
Corporeal.
It's like Don't Look Under the Bed.
It's like Don't Look
Yeah.
Under the Bed in
movie.
many ways. I know that movie's so scary. That movie is actually so scary.
That movie.
Yes, that
No.
movie's terrifying.
Okay, keep going, but I might close my ears because
Okay, but it's not zombie Ben Willis. It's a tulpa, and they are part of the circumstances that led to its creation. It's not that they manifested it, but it's that by not coming clean about the prank, they had this police force that was searching for this murderous fisherman who kills teenagers for a full year, and the sheriff, his son had
so,
been
like,
killed, so he was so his energy was so directed into hunting down and finding this murderous fisherman who's responsible for the death of his son, that it manifested and created this murderous fisherman who now, by their own lore and legend, hunts teenagers with a dirty little secret. And so he is coming after them. It is related to what they did. It is related to them not being straightforward about the accident and not telling their secret. Them keeping their secret allowed the sheriff to be so invested in this crime in their small town, the murderer of his child, that he created this monster that's now coming after all of them.
Damn. Yeah, no, I love that. That's fucking awesome. I feel like I just watched something that had this same concept in it. Oh, I remember what it is. I can't say. It's a spoiler for that movie. But it's a very similar thing. Like there's the power of human thought and collective thought to bring something to life. I love that concept. I love that. So that's why his eyes are glowing red. Zombies don't have red glowing eyes, but tulpas might.
And his skin was all that like weird purple color.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like only can be hurt by the hook, and it's like related to the original lore, the original crime, like a year later, because it took so long for it to manifest, or because the sheriff is thinking about it, especially now that the anniversary is coming up. It like ties into their responsibility for all of this without like just being like, and I don't know, I just think it's so interesting that in a world where we talk about urban legends and things like that, and where the power of their guilt, the power of their secret, it can still like funnel into the supernatural existing in our world without going zombie. Ben Willis somehow found out about this and somehow came to, like, it's not that, it's this other thing that they created by just not being honest.
Okay, that I do like.
Right?
I love
Isn't that
that.
interesting?
No, that's super interesting. I don't think this movie does a good job of making that be what it is. Like, I like that is the explanation that you're giving me, and I think that that's really, really smart. But I'm not saying that they're not doing that, but
I think that's smarter than the movie. Actually,
it's way smarter than the movie. It is. It's way smarter than the movie.
Only because they had 2 weeks to put it together. They would have gotten there on their own.
The script was already written. It'd been written it'd been sitting in movie jail for like 6 years. But yeah, no, I think that making it better than it actually is. And I love that. And I think that that's a really fucking great concept. That would have been amazing if they like had some sort of like moment of that explanation or something, or he looked a little bit different. He looked stupid, but I liked that he looked stupid. It made me laugh for a whole
I liked
minute.
that he looked very scary, weird zombie. And then at the end, also in that like franchise specific fake out ending or real ending or whatever, he's got the glowing red eyes.
Yeah, I love that. They like flash at one point earlier in the movie too, which I love. I love that he's got super strength. I love that his blood is black bile shit. That was disgusting.
It also makes sense why it's like, oh, he was on one side of the door, now he's on the other side of the door. Oh, you thought something happened to him,
Yeah.
he's gone. Like, oh, nobody, I mean, not that Colby was like, did anybody see somebody writing message in water by my lifeguard chair? Like, he's not asking around, but it makes sense how, like, he's able to pull off all of these things because
he does
he's not
disappear. I
like a
forgot about
real
that.
person.
He's not a zombie because zombies can't disappear. Thank God.
Mhm.
Jesus. They already
How
can be
does
really
he get
fast
Zoe's body
sometimes.
into the cop's car? He's a supernatural spirit.
That part in particular, I thought was so funny. They're like, "Oh my God, we forgot to do that thing that he always does." Really quickly,
He has
let's
to put
put
it in the
Zoe's
car.
body in the trunk. Hold on, really quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've
there
got
he
to
is.
hide a
The
body
remember
somewhere
that
to be
thing?
discovered. Yeah.
Problem
Here's the
solved.
thing that's the really big issue. No one screamed into the ether. No one said,
Yeah,
"Oh
nobody
my
went,
God,
yeah.
get me, bitch!" That's not what she says ever.
But I guess
Nobody
that
did a
was
big scream, run around in a circle.
We
sure.
needed that.
That was like a Julie James character thing, though. You know what I mean?
I know, but they
Like,
copied everything else, so
it
I
would have
really
been
wanted
fun.
that.
It would have been fun.
Instead of that, we got that scene. This is not the same thing at all, but it's the funniest thing ever for me when like Lance is saying something like, "Oh, your boyfriend is doing blah 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 blah," and then Amber walks away and she turns back and she's like, "And by the way, he's not my boyfriend."
Red.
That was the moment.
Tell him, girl. Yeah.
Such a slay.
"Ooh." Remember their makeout also?
Remember their little like hand thing?
Ooh, so tense while Zoe's crooning in the background. This movie has it all. It has a wood chipper.
That's a wood chipper, baby.
There's
and
so
they
much
throw that guy
impaling.
in there.
He goes chomp chomp chomp. Blood, black blood explosion everywhere. Here's my theory that goes along with your theory.
Okay.
I don't know if this is true, but I was like, okay, they destroyed him, right? Yeah. I don't know the rules of tulpas. Didn't even think about that at all when I was watching it. We've just learned about this right now. You saw that happen. Here's the thing. I think that they reenacted this curse or this urban legend or recalled it into being because like in my mind, like you speak a lie to cover something up, and then the year to date that happened is when you get fucked. Like those are Ben Willis's
Do you know
rules.
when you say you don't want to go out with your friends or whatever, so you say like, oh, my tummy hurts, and then it's like within 30 minutes your tummy will start to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's just like that.
But like the whole thing is like they made up this lore, they thought him into existence that like when people do a little white lie or not white lie, do a lie like this when teens lie to cover something up, a year later he comes to collect. And so I think when they lied at the end of the movie, they reenacted it. So that's why 1 year later he comes for her. That was my little theory thing. That's not really a theory in the same way. I mean, he also comes back in the other two movies, but he's a real guy then. So I feel like that was like them fucking themselves over because they continued the lie. And it's the same thing actually. If he's following the same rules, they do lie again at the end of I Know What You Did Last Summer because they cover up what happened again. They don't fess up to the original sin again, and they're like, I don't know, this crazy guy just came and attacked me, so they lied again, and then it comes to collect again a year later. So I feel like that's just like part of the lore. I don't know if they would have been saved if they hadn't lied. Probably not. I don't know, but I just think that they doubled it down and reignited the curse of Ben Willis.
It's also so crazy that they're like, oh my God, this guy is like a zombie or some sort of paranormal creature. But I'm telling you with 100% confidence, he's not going to be a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Girl,
How are you
how
gonna
could you
know?
possibly know that? You know,
No idea.
you know that the only thing that was hurting him was the hook that was allegedly the real hook from eBay. But you think this
From
wood
eBay?
chipper is for sure gonna do the like? Let's be so real. You don't know the rules. It's really weird that you have such confidence that this is over.
Okay, but also the fact that they bought the original hook for $38 off eBay.
So fucking funny.
It's
So funny.
$39. Get your numbers
Before
straight, okay?
inflation. Before inflation. The one other thing that I thought was so funny about that scene was like, she's like, don't worry, we don't have to worry about him anymore. And then the ending line of the movie before the like post scene is Lance being like, yeah, it's over. And I was like, that, like his performance of that line, I'm sorry, love you, Lance. I was just like, okay, that was fucking so lame. But I will say, the year later, scene with Amber, she looks gorgeous. Best outfit of the entire film. And that's why that's the outfit on the poster.
It makes sense.
It
makes
perfect
sense.
Only possible outfit that could be on the poster.
They were
of
like,
hers.
oh God, those other ones were so heinous. You're right. But this halter top with the turquoise thing, very hot, very slay. She's in Arizona, so it makes sense.
She's in Nevada.
Oh, she's in Nevada.
She's
She's
right at the
in
border.
The border. She's at the border. So, wow. Any other? Oh, I have a thought about the movie before we move on to segments.
Okay.
Need, not a want, a need. Colby's flask. I think that it's
His
got a
belt
skull
buckle.
on it. Belt buckle.
Oh,
Skull,
that is cool.
Very
flask,
cool.
belt buckle.
The way he's like, I'm just gonna go get plastered right now. Love that for
Like,
him.
fuck it.
Yeah, you know? And at
You
least
know,
maybe
if
it
I was
dampened
gonna
the
flee
pain.
killer, and then my friend said, no, I have to perform pop punk, I would also maybe be like, look, I guess let's just get drunk.
I would be front row for Zoe's show because I'd be simping for her, like Lance simps for Amber. That's what would be happening.
Sure. Sure.
Just
And
so
he
you
got
all
the girl
know.
in the end. And they're going to California together. Does she
But
make
she's
it?
dead now.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Unless it's just a fake out, like at the end of the
Well,
other.
we'll literally never
was-
know because they
we'll
will never
never know.
continue
Yeah.
this.
What do you mean? We're not gonna get a direct-to-video sequel again? You don't think they're
How
gonna
many years later?
touch on
Nearly
this
20 years
story
later.
in the new I Know What You Did Last Summer? I can't imagine that they
They're
wouldn't.
gonna
that they
retcon
wouldn't
the
loop
shit
it
out of
in.
this in the new one. They're gonna be like, that never happened. I'm so sorry.
They're not even
That
gonna
was a
acknowledge
one-off.
it. I mean, which is
They're
a
not gonna
bummer
even-
because they
they're not
could
gonna
really
touch it
bring
with a
this
10-foot pole.
spiritual, supernatural lore in and do something really interesting if they were brave. Jen Caton Robinson, whom I love.
Write the fan fiction
Just an idea. Hey, girl.
version where
Hey,
they do the
girl.
Tulpa justice. Send it to the director of Stomp the Yard and be like, hey, 20 years later,
I had
here's
a
a cute-
theory.
a
I had
couple
an
notes.
idea.
Okay, are we ready for our
Segmentos.
yes? How could this movie be gayer?
Well, I think that there's a lot of room for Zoe Amber tension and chemistry.
That could be great. I don't need Lance. Like I liked Lance, and I didn't like how I went through the whole rigmarole with the Nick Kroll thing, but I still liked him.
Lance
And
could
here's
also
the
be a
thing.
girl.
If InSync has taught us anything, the Lance of the group is gay.
She should be a lesbian. She should be a butch lesbian.
She should be a butch lesbian. Wow. Or I mean,
And then
TJ should have been a Chelsea's butch lesbian
They
skater
could
face
all
that's coming
be
in her
butch
30s.
lesbians.
What if it was just a movie about a group of butch lesbians?
If we're making some of them can still be femme. Amber can still be femme. If we are doing straight to video and we don't need to worry about getting butts in seats in theaters, I don't see why they can't all be lesbians.
They should all be lesbians, and I just want to be in the movie so I go back in time and I can watch Zoe do her thing.
Okay, it should
And
just
she's
be
a lesbian,
this
so that
you can-
exact
I just
movie,
piss.
but the
I need a
cast of the L word.
self-insert. Wow.
What year did the L word come out? It was.
I think
haven't
it started
seen
right
it
around
yet.
the same time.
That's what
probably.
I'm saying. Like, isn't it somewhere like close to that?
It just
in
would have
there- in
made
that era.
sense. It would have made sense.
2004.
Missed op.
See?
Missed op. Yeah, I mean, I don't need Colby. I don't need to think about Colby. Bye. Maybe he did wear that cunty little polo shirt, so maybe that's what he was doing in college. Maybe he was
That's so
doing what I
straight
thought Bring It
from the
On guy
day.
was doing.
Punty
Yeah,
little
maybe.
polo shirts meant straight. Horrifying.
He was overcompensating.
The more layers you had of cunty little polos, the straighter you were.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what I can do for him. I don't know
Was
what I
that a
can
thing
do
for
him.
y'all? Did y'all miss that?
Where they had like the 3?
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah,
Because that was like my ninth grade.
I feel like our 3-year age difference, 2-year age difference is like really shows in the like junior high to high school range thing. Because like we were like lame, not wearing the cool high school kid clothes yet when you were wearing the cool high school kid clothes.
Maybe.
I was wearing a shirt that had a picture of nachos on it that was a cartoon that said Nacho Girlfriend. That's what I was wearing.
Bring that back. Adam will love
wearing
that.
that in high school too, Monica. But also your junior high had a uniform. So you only had casual Fridays or whatever. And my middle school, you actually had to wear polo shirts. So everybody was wearing polo shirts.
Multiples?
It had to be a collared shirt, maybe multiples.
I don't know.
It's just the striped ones with the popped collars. I've seen it.
Yeah, the men were
Abercrombie Hollister takeover
very hard in the pastels, the multiple color pastels. It was
I've
the
got
ultimate
my white
peacock.
polo and then my emerald green polo.
It was like light pink, baby blue, like that kind of stuff. Everything was a pastel.
And the stripes too. Adam had like the little bit of a later version of that, but it was blue with yellows, like big blue stripes with little small yellow stripes horizontal. And he would wear it like when we were like in the beginning of our relationship. And I was like, fucking never wear that shit again. It was
UCLA
so
pride,
this style.
baby.
It was so Colby. No.
Oh, do you think Colby went to SC? Or do you think he's just talking about SC girls as in Southern California girls?
He gives SC vibes.
Gives
and
SC
that's
vibes.
not a compliment. Sorry.
SC vibes derogatory.
No wonder he's such a little skank.
This is a UCLA household, so I'm allowed to be a fucking hater.
Yeah, this is a UCLA and Auburn household, actually. So fuck SC, fuck Alabama. Chelsea, what's John Hopkins' mortal enemy?
Girl, I did not follow lacrosse, so I simply don't know.
I simply do not know.
Well, fuck what if one of our listeners know, fuck that school.
Do you have any
my
more
own business.
gay thoughts that we would like to share?
I think Roger would have been a really beautiful, soulful emo lesbian.
Yeah, Roger.
Yeah. If he was a nice little emo lesbian, him and Zoe could have been beautiful emo lesbians together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Roger maybe had some gay feelings for PJ. And that's part of the guilt. It's part of what troubles him.
I feel that. I also think like he confided in that cop. And so maybe he had a crush on that cop. And then the cop is so in love with Amber. He was like, fuck.
I did it for you. That was crazy.
He was so creepy the whole time. I mean, they're definitely trying to make you think it was him by the way he was playing it. But I was like, why would it be him? Like, why? What's the impetus? So it's going to be like some like stupid reveal I'm not going to care about because it doesn't make like, if I can't riddle it out, usually I'm like, where is the evidence? They're going to be like, we'll reveal it all at the end. You never could have figured it out. I don't like those. I like when there's little crumbs.
That's interesting because you love The Strangers.
That's a different kind of thing.
No, it's exactly the same kind of thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. That one for me isn't like a whodunit in the same way. It's a home invasion horror movie. We're gonna do that movie one day and we'll fight then. I have to rewatch it too. I haven't seen it in fucking 15 years. Or I don't know when it came out. So I haven't seen it in a really long time. So I don't know. Okay, gay thoughts. Any more?
So many more gay thoughts.
Matthew Lillard. Where would he fit into this movie?
He's the tulpa.
Wow.
that
Beautiful.
sheriff has been watching Scream a lot in his free time. And so Matthew Lillard is just also existing in his subconscious. And he just it got all tied together. You know the way that things get like muddled in a dream?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so
it
he
looked
like
like
came out as
that
Matthew
person looked
Lillard.
like my math teacher and Chelsea fused together. Whoa, like that kind of a vibe.
It looked like
Um,
my math teacher, but my brain knew in the dream that it was Chelsea.
Exactly. Exactly.
I would have
Um,
loved for him to be PJ,
Oh,
he would
I'd
have been
love
a
to see him
great
skateboard off a building.
PJ.
right?
That would have
He
been
would have hit the skateboard thing. It would have been devastating to find out he died.
I think I totally agree with you there. I think Roger gave a little bit of a Shaggy vibe, and that is
Mm.
why I'm thinking of Matthew Lillard being in that position. But
I
I
could
wouldn't
see
want
it.
to see him go through that.
Yeah.
So,
But him in the
Mhm.
beginning having his little guilt spiral when they're around the bonfire, I think could have worked.
yeah.
And I
Totally.
did I loved the little shine on him when, obviously at the bonfire they're like, we'll take this secret to our grave, say it, or whatever they say there. And then
Yeah.
later she's like, we won't, I don't remember what the line was, but when they're confronting him again and it's like, we won't say anything to anybody, say it. And he's like, I won't say anything to anybody. Like he gives it so sassy back.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that'd be good for him. Okay. All right. I like those placements. Are we ready for our next one?
Let's do it.
Dumb bitch. Who's the dumb bitch? Any pranksters in the crowd are dumb bitches. Chelsea. I'm kidding. I love you.
That felt really targeted.
It was. Wow.
I
It's
was
weird
gonna
that it felt
say-
that way because it wasn't. What?
I was gonna say maybe the pervy cop.
Yeah, well,
Ugh,
he's a
blech,
dumb bitch
ugh.
for sure.
Existing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know
he's
you're home alone.
he's-
Ugh, God. Shut
ugh.
the fuck
Right?
up. Go
Just like,
away.
You
why
can
do you
call me
exist?
anytime. Do you want to call me? Can you call me? Will you call me?
What if you called
Why
me?
don't you calm
What
down?
you called
Why are
me?
you so obsessed
What if
with
you
me?
calm down?
Like, maybe let's not.
She was
Let's not say
literally a
anything.
junior in high school at the beginning of this movie. So you were
Leave
a
her
full ass cop.
alone.
Maybe
let's-
he
it's
was only
fair.
2 years older, but still, come on.
It's not
Yeah,
Ben Willis because Ben Willis was summoned by the spirit of the youths.
Or alternately was not even
Indiscretions.
in this movie. I think Colby is a dumb bitch, but I don't
For not communicating.
for not communicating, and obviously he was part of the planning on the original prank, and they had crash pads in place or whatever, but I think skating off the side of a building or the top of a building is always going to be a dangerous stunt, and how are you going to practice that beforehand really when you're I don't know, it just that
it was
is
really fucking stupid.
it was a really dumb idea. So the planners of this prank are kind of all dumb bitches.
They're the dumb bitches.
But also that police officer is a dumb bitch.
Tied. It's a 5-way tie, or however many people tie.
Yeah. It's a
just
6-way tie, I guess, if you include all of the original 5 pranksters, which
Let
includes
me
PJ.
say something so problematic. I get that you're bored. Fucking do drugs. Don't do shit like this.
Right? Do drugs, not pranks.
Oh my god.
They should put that messaging in schools.
I know. Obviously, you can see that the How You Remind Me video wore off, and I'm no longer on the DARE program. But oh my god, have a house party. Do something else.
Mom and Dad said in the letter, no parties, Monica.
Well, it doesn't have to be at Amber's house. I know that she is the hub around which this entire community circles, but
she's the sun of this community, okay?
She is the sun, and they are all satellites.
They orbit around her.
I just know the dumb bitch is not the spirit because he did such a beautiful art project with that Soon collage.
It was really. He did a great, and the slashes,
Mm-hmm.
and Zoe's shit, just really nice work. So, yeah, pranksters beware. You could be
Pranksters
you
beware.
could be the next dumb bitch.
Pranks can go really wrong, guys.
They can
It's
go
dangerous.
really wrong. Think if I had gotten a paper cut from that Post-it note that you put on my bed, Chelsea, that said "Get absolutely pranked." I could have laid down
died.
on it.
She could have bled
I could have
out.
sliced my throat and died. And then how would you feel? Yeah, that's what I thought. She's looking
That's
ashamed.
something for me to. That's something for me to
She's
really
looking
think about and
Reflect
dwell
on
on.
that, Chelsea.
That's something for me to be haunted by later tonight. The damage I could have caused.
You're gonna have an
Wow.
Inception style
Wow.
dream. You're gonna have 3 dreams. Okay.
Paper cut, paper cut, paper cut.
Okay, it's time for the knives out of 5s. Set the scene. I know this got an Oscar.
On IMDb, this movie has 3.4 out of 10. And I'd never seen it before. There are only 7 reviews from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. So I take this with a grain of salt because it's only 7 people who didn't like the movie, but it has 0% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh wow! Whatever I was looking at showed 20%. Is that the
That's
audience
from audiences.
score?
Yeah, that's the audience score. And there's like a bunch more audience ratings. It makes sense that not a lot of critics rated this straight to video movie. You know what I mean? And if even one of them had said it was good, that would like really rocket up the score to like 15% or
No
whatever.
critic was gonna say this is good.
But no critic was gonna say it was good. Yeah. So
0%. That's
unfortunately,
honestly
0%
a slay.
That's
from
wild.
critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
I love
0%.
that. That's our lowest rated movie that we've ever covered.
It is. Yeah.
Only by a little bit. We rate one that was
There's
like
one with like
8%?
9% or whatever.
Yeah. Wow. I'm excited. I know what you did last summer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously not shocked to see that it didn't do well. And again, it was a straight to video release. So, like, they're not putting the money in to have it be good. Obviously, I kind of came in with an agenda in the sense that I already knew about tulpas and I projected that onto the movie immediately, and it seems like you guys really don't feel like that was the intention of the film. And
well, it could be something like that, but it just didn't.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that is one of those things where it's like, it's hard to explain to the audience something that none of the characters are going to understand.
Well, they just needed to add in a scene where they go to the library and they go on the internet and they look up how could this be possible, and then Tulpa comes up. That's
they
easy.
have the final showdown where somebody gets impaled on the other tractor, and then they go to the library and then they come back to finish the final showdown.
Zoe should have been a Wiccan person, a witch.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
If everybody was lesbians, one of them would have been Wiccan, and then she would have known and she could have explained. Why didn't they think about that?
Easy. I just came up with that in 1 second.
But yeah, I mean, I really like that read of this movie, and I was very impressed by what this movie was versus what I was expecting. Like, it did very much feel like a straight to video movie, but it also was just way better than I thought that it was going to be. So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie like, I don't know, I'm gonna go with like a 3 because like I had way more fun than I thought, and I think it's an interesting theory that fits well with the movie. You don't need to do a lot to make it work. You just kind of have to bring the materials yourself.
You got to bring the energy. You got to come into it with the right vibe.
But I thought it was a fun time to watch, and I could see it being a slumber party hit. Because it's like, you don't expect a movie in a franchise to suddenly go, guess what? This franchise is supernatural now. You know what? It's like, it's kind of a fun twist for them to be like, obviously we can't do what those movies did. It wouldn't make sense to have Ben Willis come back and these are random people now and he's just like still trucking along. But you thought that that's what we were doing, and guess what? We did something different. We're creative. We're flexing our creativity.
He's got laser eyes now.
He's a zombie now. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a fun thing to do in general, if you are in a position where you're making a straight to video sequel for an established franchise, that they won't give you anything that has to do with the franchise other than a fisherman costume and a hook, I think that's a fun way to do it.
Totally. Do you want to go next, Sid?
I'm giving this a 1.5 out of 5.
Oh, so generous.
I think that's fair.
Have nothing nice to say about this movie.
Wow, Heather.
Except I will apologize for everybody for making them watch it. I would like to apologize for myself for making me watch it.
I know what you did last summer was her idea, I think. So,
so I will apologize.
We have to do all three.
We have to. I think it just puts it in stark relief how great the other two are. And now I'm saying that I still know what you did last summer was great in comparison. And you guys were all there for that episode and all the shit that I said then.
You knew.
Do you have, sorry, Sid, I didn't want to cut you off. Do you have more review?
That's
no?
it.
She
1.5.
She'll start saying fucked up shit if you let her keep going because she hated it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I had a really good time and I love the tulpa thing, but I can't. That's Chelsea. I give Chelsea a 5-star review. Except for the prank thing.
I know. I was gonna say you've been so mean to me about my pranks this whole episode. I'm a prank genius.
Let this be a warning to you of the dark side. But what I'm actually trying to say
I'm a rocker girl.
Soon to be skater, rocker to skater pipeline to prankster to tulpa.
I'm doing all kinds of stuff over here.
I'm just saying lots of words while I'm trying to think of what I want to do.
Yeah, you're stalling is what you're doing.
Is a 2 too high? Is a 2 too high? What did I give Thanksgiving? This is better than Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving you probably
0?
gave. Let me find. Thanksgiving you gave a 1.1.
1.1. Wow.
Mhm.
I give Thanksgiving
A 1.
Yeah, that tracks. This is slightly better than Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 1.8. There you go. And if I'm rating Tori DeVito, 10 out of 5. 10 out of 5. Really compelling. There's some really compelling stuff in here, and it's mostly her. I was really compelled by her performance and everything about her. Actually, I was gonna say her little belt. No, it's a fucking huge belt. I love her huge belt that she wears with all the studs on it. I love the music in this. That's cool. I think one thing I'll say that is great about this movie is that it really like feels like a time capsule in such a fun way. Like showing like the nasty ass style of the mid Y2K era, the mid aughts. That was so funny. The flip phones, the music, like, you know, we're so used to seeing like the bubblegum. I mean, I see a lot of mall goth people doing the Y2K fashion now too. So that is closer to this. But most of the Y2K that's come back is more of the like pop star kind of vibe. And so this was fun to be like gaucho pants. Don't forget. Sometimes the camis weren't that cute. I mostly was taken aback by the fashion. It really took me through it. And, you know, when do you get to see a serious twist in a film and laugh for a whole minute and scream out loud? That was great. That was great for my heart. My heart felt great. And I watched the movie again today and I was like, wow. And when's the last time I wrote notes of my reactions to a film? I don't know. But I have like a whole fucking page of all these things. I was compelled. A lot of them are about Zoe, I'll be honest. But
he said I have to watch again just to write I love Zoe every time she comes on screen.
I made sure that I said every single thing that I wrote down though, because I was like, I can't forget these jokes that I made in my head. Anyway, 1.8. I'll leave it at that. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
But I know what you did last summer is over. Let's take a moment and just say summer really aggressively all together as well as we possibly can. 3, 2, 1. Summer. I'm going to miss that. That feels really good every time I say it. But we have to move on.
I think you'll get one more next summer. Next summer.
Summer. But we're switching gears, aren't we, Chelsea?
We are switching gears because it's Chelsea birthday week next week.
Chelsea birthday, never
Chelsea
forget.
birthday.
Yay!
Never forget.
So it's my choice, and I'm just chugging along. And for my birthday this year, I had kind of thought, like, as soon as I saw this in theaters, that I maybe would want to do this for my birthday pick. It had a lot of buzz before it came out, but then it was kind of quiet because it was kind of an indie film. So I would like to circle back. I'd like to put some shine on it. And I would like to talk about I Saw the TV Glow, because Monica and I were in the theater. We did a double feature that night with Tarot as well.
And what a stark comparison, my God.
What a stark comparison.
Tarot would
but
get a
I
0.8. It
was
would get a worse score
sure,
than this movie.
sure. I was compelled seeing I Saw the TV. I was seated. I was leaning forward in my seat.
Edge of our
She was
seats.
locked in.
Literally,
locked
edge
in.
of a seat.
I was locked in, and I just think there's so much to talk about with that movie. And I think it's very queer. And there's one line that I really just I identified with so much. And so I'm really excited to get into that next week. So
And it feels like one that like deserves a second watch to like really let it sink in. And I haven't had that since whenever we saw it months
yeah,
ago.
that's your
so I'm
warning,
really...
Sydney, too, is that you might want to have some time
Watch
to
it
think
twice.
on it a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've never seen this one. Both of y'all have. I'm going in blind. I literally have no idea. I don't even think I've seen a
I don't know
trailer
if
for
you'll
it
like
either.
it or not, but it is kind of a thinky a little bit, because I don't know, maybe you'll get it right away, but for a lot of critics who were not coming from a queer perspective, it kind of just like zoop over their head. So
Okay.
Yeah, and the
I'm
director
open.
is Jane Schoenbrunn. I'm hopefully saying that right, Schoenbrunn. And they did We're All Going to the World's Fair, I believe.
that sounds right.
Hold on,
Which I haven't seen.
Yeah, We're All Going to the World's Fair, which I watched and I did not understand. That came out in 2021, and I watched it like right after it came out. And so I think I'm gonna try to
Revisit it, maybe.
revisit them both, just because like I have more knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh my God! They directed the night shift video from Lucy Dacus.
Okay, slay.
Okay, slay.
So glad I clicked on this. Oh my God.
The night shift.
Wow,
am I going to be listening to that all tonight now?
Repeat,
Probably.
repeat.
I'm really excited to celebrate your birthday and do a little thanky, especially after this week. You thought you came up with the whole theory.
I was thinking.
I was just vibing. And I got to wear the wig, so always a fun one. But what would our poll question be for this? Maybe we could just keep it simple. We could be like, which one is your favorite? And everyone will say, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Some people might like that second one.
I Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Or
the Tulpa fans out there are waiting to weigh in.
I bet there's a bunch of Tulpa fans. And you can create more just by thinking about them. So
we can just take a jump off from what's his name's involvement, Ben Easter, and we can say, which Olsen Twins movie was your favorite?
Completely unrelated.
Completely unrelated.
It is somewhat related.
Okay. Chelsea is in charge of that, and so it will be up to her discretion.
Well, I don't like to decide on my own.
I think What's Your Favorite is fine. Of either of those two franchises, you decide later on. You'll have to go to Spotify to find out.
To find out the final question.
Speaking of Spotify, why not give us a 5-star rating on there, or a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, where you say, I loved I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I really thought that it was a marketable name for a themed summer, and it's very easy to understand what it meant.
We know how to brand, okay?
We did this for I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is actually
Oh!
That's for the YouTube crowd. Something insane just happened. And you would only see that if you're watching this on YouTube.
You'd
so
only see that if
remember
you're
to
watching that on YouTube.
subscribe.
This was very relevant for the third film in the franchise. They were
It
bringing this
was.
energy.
They
They
were bringing
knew
energy
that
again.
one day we would be doing I Know What You Did Last Summer, and they said, and we'll be ready. Yeah!
Wow. I'm going to use that one a
Wow.
lot. There's a
I'm
lot
the
of visual
same.
play
Who
going on
knew?
right now. Also, just so you know, we already talked about YouTube. We are dressed as two Zoes and a beautiful Amber. I'm assuming you're Amber. I don't know. Or you're Zoe also.
I think she's
Sydney.
just chilling.
Yeah.
She's just herself. You're blonde, so you can just be the girl who everyone's in love with just by
She's
being
the third girl
blonde
on
and
that's
yourself.
Kelly. That's Kelly, the third
Yeah.
girl from the poster.
Oh yeah, no, that is what I'm gonna make that the edit. I'm gonna make that the edit. So there you go. It's done. She's Star Laverne or whatever that girl's
Star
name
LaPointe.
was. Star LaPointe. Incredible. So beautiful things are happening. Subscribe on YouTube. Also, shout out to all of our new subscribers. Happy to meet you. Thank you.
Love
Also,
you.
follow us on social media. We're at Spooky_Tuesday on everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we're at Spooky Tuesday Pod. And I have to say, at the end of the day, thank you for listening. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, Spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.